manly hall official, is glad to produce, publish and offer. The Lord of the Flaming Mountain. From the shadows of swaying palms and jungle underbrush, a little group of pilgrims wound their way in and out among the broken lava rocks and stubble towards a mighty mountain that rose as a looming mystery to touch the deep blue of the tropic sky. From the top of this peak a thin trail of smoke poured eternally, as though in truth this mystery of nature were the vent of Vulcan's forge. A strange group indeed it was that climbed up and up along the narrow path that led to the distant heights. They were a people we see no longer, for already eternities have shrouded them in the mantle of forgetfulness. First came a tall and aged man. His copper skin seamed and wrinkled, but his face strong and resolute. He was robed in a cape woven of birds' feathers, and tilted forward upon his head was a strange peaked cap, from the point of which hung a pendant of gold and jewels which tossed and swayed as he walked. On his forehead was a cross, traced in white pigments, while the breeze blowing aside his cape disclosed the fact that his only other garment was a girdle of golden plates set with amethysts and rubies. In the center of the girdle was a strange face molded of solid gold, a face surrounded by a halo of flames and whose eyes sparkled rubies of a never-ending radiance. In one hand the aged man carried a carved staff painted in many colors, and in the other a rattle hanging upon a tassel of human hair and composed of a gourd containing within its dried husk a tiny pebble. The long hair of the man was gray and hung in many plaits upon his shoulders, while his beard, braided like an Assyrian's, hung halfway to his waist. He was the priest of the divine Lord, master of the great fire, whose temple stood alone among the lava banks and ashes of the flaming mountain. The second member of the party was a young girl some 16 or 18 years of age. She too wore a cape of bird feathers, and upon her small feet were sandals inlaid with jewels. Her head was uncovered, revealing braided hair which hung in two long coils nearly to her knees, and was of the shiny blackness of the lava rocks that surrounded her. She was covered with golden ornaments and chains, while her arms and ankles were encircled by bands of gold connected with links of silver and copper. But though adorned with the ransom of emperors, she seemed more a captive in bondage, for her ornaments were like shackles and clanked dismally as she walked along. If you're enjoying this video and finding value in the content, we kindly ask you to take a moment to subscribe to the channel. A large portion of our listeners and viewers haven't subscribed yet, and by doing so, you'll help us grow and continue bringing you more high-quality audiobooks. Your support means a lot to us, and it's just one click away. So, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to stay connected and never miss out on our latest releases. Two other figures completed the group. Powerful men they were, whose brown bodies glistened in the sunshine and whose forms and proportions were those of Greek athletes. They wore neither cape nor headdress, but their bodies were adorned with golden bangles, and strange animals were tattooed in many colors upon their skins. The heavy girdles they wore were weighted with plates of gold, and each carried in his hand a feathered staff surmounted by a globe of fiery gold. The four figures wound in and out among the rocks, and as they neared the top of the lofty mountain, thin streams of smoke rose up from the crevices at their feet, The air was filled with a moaning and rumbling, the earth shook and shivered like a thing alive. The heavy fumes of sulphurous smoke creeping up shrouded the little band in a semi-darkness, while the sun shone as a ball of angry red behind clouds of swirling ashes. Evening was falling before they neared the summit, and as the sun sank to rest, a strange lurid glow thrilled through the atmosphere, an eerie, ever-changing radiance reflected in a million different ways from the clouds of mist and vapor. Still the little band climbed upward and upward, ever nearer to the mighty crater that loomed like a gaping pit of hell before them. Suddenly they reached a great rock, and passing around its side were confronted by a tiny hut built of stones and lava, shielded by the projecting side of the cliff's hut, half concealed by the seething vapors of the volcano. Reaching the door of the hut, the old priest raised his staff while the other three fell to their knees. "Behold! This is the temple of anguish built on the crest of Chitoka, the mountain of undying fires. This is the place of wailing where we sinful mortals come to ask forgiveness of our Lord and Master. For, behold, our God speaks to us through the mountain of fire. Many days now has his voice been heard, and the roaring and rumblings have whispered of his wrath. He has said to his priests, 'Bring from the people of earth a living sacrifice unto me in the mountain of my fires.' And we have brought one, even as he has said, for behold, we have chosen from among our nation the loveliest and purest daughter of earth, and brought her up this mountain to be the bride of the Fire King." He rose and entered the little hut, and a fire, kindled with a broken stick, flared up, its ruddy glows revealing a massive altar above which a great flaming face looked down, a face of gold and jewels from which poured forth streamers and rays of living light. "O Spirit of fire, thy children obey thy call. For it was said of thee by our fathers' fathers that when thou criest out for vengeance for the forgetfulness of men, behold, there must be one of the people who shall climb to the heights of thy lofty shrine and die, that thy children may be saved. For thine own voice has spoken, saying, there shall be one acceptable in the sight of our God, who shall come to make offer of their life unto our God on Chitoka, the sacred mountain, and only the pure in heart are acceptable as a sacrifice unto thee. Come, O Lord of the sacred mountain, and take unto thyself this one of our people who comes forth to sacrifice herself, that thy wrath may not descend upon the world." The flaming face gleamed and glowed in the flickering light, its eyes seeming to shine with a fire demoniacal. The old priest bowed, and no sound broke the stillness except a broken sob from the prisoner in her golden chains. Slowly the old priest left the little hut and, followed by the others, climbed up and over the side of the volcano, finally standing at the very peak of a great rock that jutted over the sea of molten lava. In the center rose a mighty cone, and from it flames and sulfur came up in never-ending steam. A great rumbling and roaring rent the heavy stillness of the island night, and the splashing of lava bubbles in the sea of molten rock beneath sounded like sobs on the air. All the figures were tinged red with the flames, and standing alone on that pinnacle of rock in their robes of feathers and girdles of gold, they seemed like fiery spirits of the dawn when creation was in the making, instead living creatures in a world of flesh. The old priest raised his hands and cried outward over the lake of flames, "We have come, O Master, as thy law has demanded. We have brought thee thy bride. Accept our sacrifice, O fiery one, and destroy not our people." Send not thy flaming rivers to burn our homes with consuming fire. Send not the messengers of death the ashes, and the plagues rock not the earth with thy vengeance, O God of fire. But accept this, the best we have to offer thee." He knelt upon the rock, and the rumblings and roarings seemed to deepen, while great clouds of flame and smoke rose from the volcano's depthless center, and the rocks beneath their feet shook and quivered with a life divine. Slowly the slender figure of the girl arose, and with calm courage crossed the narrow shelf of stone. Dropping aside the robe of bird's feathers, she stood poised upon the point of rock, beneath her the surging sea of molten lava. The flames sparkled on the jewels that she wore, for these too were to be cast with her into the yawning mouth of the fire god. Suddenly, as she stood there arose from the depths of the mountain a great streaming cloud of many-colored mists. It twinkled, swayed and twisted like a thing alive, and instead of passing onward and outward into the heavens, it hovered and floated over the center of the crater. Slowly the streaming lights took form, the many changing vapors gathered themselves together until a mighty being hovered over Chitoka. The priest raised his hands in awe and trembling and shrank backward on the rock, while the two that were with him moaned and groaned in fear and agony. But the thin figure still stood alone on the point of rock, her copper skin gleaming and glowing from the flickering flames of the volcano. The great mystery shadow shape became clearer as the moments passed, and the Great One hovered closely over the volcano, a creature composed of the very flames themselves, his hair a mass of flowing sparks, his fingers tapering off into points of flame, his robes of crimson fire trailing off into the mist and vapor of the volcano. Great wings of flame and fire poured from him, and his eyes shone like the molten lava of the crater. A thundering voice spoke as the great creature swept over the surface of his volcano towards the pinnacle of rocks. "Behold, I am angered at thee, thou puny children of men. It is well that ye have brought your sacrifice to the top of the mountain, for ye have displeased the spirit of the fires. What boon ask you in exchange for the bride that ye have brought me?" "O Lord of the flaming mountain," cried the priest, "for many days have the ashes poured upon our villages, for many nights has the dull glow of your anger brought terror to our hearts. We come to thee, O Lord, asking peace, and that ye shall not destroy us with the flames of thy wrath. O King of the salamanders, Son of the fiery sparks of Fohad, accept this the purest gift of earth and freest from thy hate." The Lord of the volcano had reached the mighty cliff that edged his crater, and reached out his arms of streaming flame to grasp in them the slender figure that stood upon the rock. "Ye have brought your sacrifice, O children of men, but know you not that you yourselves are the spirits of the fire? For many weeks and many years ye have wrangled and fought and hated in your villages, and for that ye have brought upon yourselves the curse of the Lord of Flames. For, behold, to my mountain come the hates and griefs and wranglings of the people, and from them are built the flames of my lofty peak, and were it not that ye battled in your villages, my flames could not battle on this mountain peak. Ye sue for peace, but that I cannot give you, while to this crater come the flames of hate. The mumbling and the rumblings which ye hear are but shadows of your own hearts, the seething cauldrons of flames, but whisper of the flames of past 10n within your own soul. I am the Lord of the Flames, I am the regent of the Red World, I am the voice of the eternal fire. I love the children of men, and being strong in fire I would serve them. But they have taken my fire and desecrated it, and as it seethes and boils within their own souls, so the shadows rise upon my mountain. Go back to your village and say unto them that the Lord of the flaming mountain has spoken, saying that only when the souls of men are at rest will my mountain slumber. Behold, thy sacrifice is acceptable in my sight. The heart of one that is pure can soothe the flames of creation. It is said of the gods that through all the ages some must perish, that many may be saved. Go ye now your way, and I shall return to the heart of the flaming mountain, taking with me the sacrifice that ye have made. Be not this sacrifice in vain, for it is not the first, nor shall it be the last. Many a soul has perished to save the world from my wrath. Many a courageous one has entered my flames that the world should have peace. But the Lord of the flaming mountain is not unkind. Fear not for the one that ye have given, nor fear ye for the sacrifice of your people. But come unto me with love, and my flame shall warm their hearts. Slowly the fiery figure gathered the form in its arms, and floating out over the volcano passed slowly downward into its mighty center, clasping to itself the jeweled figure of the girl. A great peace descended upon the mountain. The flames of smoke died out and the lava ceased to flow. The rumblings grew less and less until at last silence ruled supreme. The old priest rose and was turning away when a mighty voice spoke from the depths of the earth. I, the Lord of the flaming mountain, am at rest. A noble soul has sacrificed itself to bring me peace. In all the ages of the world I have gathered unto myself many, but they are not mine. For behold, the daughter of earth is not with me in my fiery mountain, but with her God and my God. And, behold, she has passed through the flaming ring unscarred, and in her great desire has redeemed not only you but herself also. Go ye unto your people, and let not this sacrifice be in vain. Remember that only when ye learn to love one another shall my mountain be at rest, for when ye wrangle and discord among yourselves ye loose my flames and turn them on the worlds of men. Then my mountain cries out for vengeance, and the sword of death is loosened as the thunder and lightning of the gods. Once more art ye forgiven, go and do better. Remember who is your answer, and let not the martyr die in vain. The Lord of the flaming mountain is not dead, but rests in peace under the spell of redemption. Wake him not with hate and lust, for once awake he will never sleep until another be found to pacify him. Send no more brides to the top of my mountain, but live in your villages in peace as the most acceptable sacrifice unto my eyes. Fear me, for I am great. Obey me, for I am kind. Redeem me, for I am salvation. And though my temple is on my mountain, rather let it be in the soul of man. While there is one that is pure, I will rest, lulled to peace by their love. But if ye live not one unto the other in friendship and in charity, ye shall hear my voice again, and the world shall know me, and cry out in agony unto the Lord of the flaming mountain. But I can do nothing but use the flames which thou hast given me. Send me no flames of hate, and I will not burn your homes. Live not in discord one to the other, and my lava shall never flow again. Faded flowers. Oftentimes in wandering through an old home among the scenes of long ago, one finds pressed away in a favorite volume, possibly the Bible or the family album, a faded rose crushed between the leaves. After many years of forgetfulness, it will bring back memories of the past. Some loved one nearly forgotten in the battle of life, some dear soul we used to know, and becomes before the mirror of the mind. We hear a laughing voice, perhaps now hushed forever, and kind hands stretch out across the years to enfold us again in memory's embrace. How few of these faded flowers have a message to the world, yet each whispers something of the past to some responsive heart. And how much like faded flowers are the hearts of suffering men and women wandering through life. Each faded rose was once the fairest blossom, and in a distant day forgotten its dried and falling petals shone forth with all the glory of nature and its God. As we go along the road of life, we see many wondrous blossoms filling the air with glorious fragrance and exquisite color, but when we pass that way again, we see them faded and returning again to the dust from whence they came. How like the faded flower is the life of man. The glowing ideals he came here to carry out, he soon forgets. His dreams of glorifying the world vanish from his memory as he struggles through the sordidness of life. In truth, he cometh forth as a flower and is cut down. But beneath the wilted petals and beneath that broken heart of a man there still glows and embers a light eternal. And someday the great magician is going to wander along that dusty road and with the touch of his magic wand bring back life to these faded flowers. In the highways and byways of this world, who shall be this great magician? Who shall play the fairy queen and raise to life again the dead? There is within each one of us the great magician, the good spirit, who can bring faded flowers to life and restore the broken blossoms from whose crushed petals have been formed a rosary that ends with a cross. There is this wondrous fairy godmother who can bring to life the dead rose and make it bloom again in radiant beauty. And this mystic being, the good fairy, is the sweetness and compassion of love and hope that is hidden deep in the heart of every man. Each kind word, each sweet thought brings forth again the glow of life to the soul of some faded flower. It is a glorious thing to have the power to make the world shine again with happiness. This is within the reach of every mystic, for into the hands of one who has earned this right to bring back the blush of life to broken souls a great privilege is given. No longer does he live for what the world can give him, for he has more than it can ever know. He lives to wander through the gardens of humanity, where flower and blooming shrub fade each year as the snows of winter come. Gathering up the dried and withered leaves, he blesses them with the power of life, and they brighten up again at his touch. Where the mystic is, there can be no faded flowers, for he lives only to bring joy and life into the world. Hates and fears, sorrows and remorse, all these have withered the flowers of life. The roses of youth vanish from the cheek as the furrows of care appear, and the eyes once bright with laughter soon grow dull with weeping. But the work of the Master is to bring back the old-time joy, and although his own heart, he said, he smiles serenely through his tears as he gathers the broken petals to mold them again into perfect flowers. And man is walking in the footsteps of this Master. Every day, somewhere, he sees a withered rose whose petals would glow again if he would nourish them with the waters of life. Just a kind word and the flower will become a thing of beauty in the garden of the Lord. We are to go forth in the name of the Father and gather close to our hearts these withered flowers, the broken children of men. In love and compassion we are to serve them, in humility and simplicity to protect them, sympathy and brotherhood to assist them, that the spirit of joy may come again into their lives as the blossoming of a flower. Somewhere in the soul of man, no matter how cold he may seem, there is something which cries out to smile, cries out to be happy, and being happy cries some more. This is a certain soul quality explainable and known only to those who have suffered, and yet through it all are drawn by bonds undefinable to the cause of their anguish. There is something very human about the world, and while it may seem a cruel place the longer we are in it, the less we desire to leave it. It is so much like each one of us that the bonds of understanding make us love the old earth more and more. The glory of being alive is a wonderful thing, but the still greater glory of giving life and expression to others fills the heart with a real purpose of being. And he who turns back again into the garden of the earth to nurture and care for those withered flowers, whose drooping petals bespeak the dying courage of an unawakened life, knows no other joy. It is a wondrous thing to feel that it is within our power, if we live as we should, to give these flowers new duty. From the soul of him who thus redeems the rose that was withered shall shine forth a star through the darkness, that star which is the mark of the compassionate one. The sons of God labor eternally with man to build within him that sweet sadness, the sadness which is the great peace that surpasseth understanding. In simple symbol well known to our eyes, the sons of compassion ever seek to teach us the way that we should go, seeking to build within us the realization of the path which they have walked. They never command us to go this way or that, they only show us the beauties of the path. They show us the faded flowers, and then they ask if there can be anything more beautiful in all the world than a flower turned upward in adoration to the light of its God. They ask if anything is sadder than to see the blossom wither and fade away. Then it is shown to us how we may go forth and bring to blossom the flower of spirit now budding alone in the endless deserts of materiality. So let us take their symbol of service and go out to labor in the world fields, that the faded flower hidden within the heart of man, called the Spirit of Christ, shall be raised from the dead to blossom forth unto perfect life. Man is the little creator made in the image of the great Creator, containing in possibility all that God has in awakened energy. A discourse on the 8 perfections. And the Lord of Light spoke of the 5th perfection, which is intelligent living, saying, Know that the 5th perfection is that ye should live well to yourself and true in your dealings with others, that ye should be joyous among others, but that your living be right in the eyes of the Lord. Know that of the many things which thou hast, this sheath of stone which ye call a body is most useful to you at this time. For only through this body may ye learn that which is eternal. Realize that this body is not the eternal I nor God, but is rather of a demon of darkness, but you must treat it well, that it may serve thee well unto the work for which God has designed it. By the intelligence of right living know that he who liveth with nature in simplicity liveth with God in reality, and he who would know how to live must search for life among the living and not among the dead. Man is dead, therefore search not for life there, but look only unto God, who is the one life. So saying, the Lord opened the 5th petal. Of this lotus the 5th petal is the perfection of intelligent living, wherein ye shall learn that length of life is the prolonging of opportunities, when to this ye add perception and purpose. But the body liveth not of itself alone, but of the life which is within it, and which is the life of Brahma, who is the Creator and Father who ever shall be. Therefore in all your living, live moderately and wisely, live as a brother with all other things. Thereof it is spoken in the sacred Bharatas, live not of the body but of the spirit. But know that living means that the bodies be preserved for the spirit, and that the spirit speaks through its own reflection in the mirror of eternity. Wherein the blessed Lord saith, This is all that I would speak of the 5th perfection. So listen unto the words of the 6th perfection, which is perfect effort. Know that intelligent effort is the basis of all that expands and groweth great, effort is the measurement of reward, and according to your effort so shall it be with you in that which is eternal. Know, O son, there is a reward for effort regardless of its works, and know that right effort bringeth with it a sure promise of right reward. Nothing in this universe is without effort, and those who do not labor shall someday be famine for that which they have not sown. Therefore know that in effort lies the secret of power, and the sixth perfection is intelligent effort, which ye gain through intelligent perception, intelligent speech, intelligent purpose, intelligent conduct, and intelligent living. Thus spake the Lord of the Lotus as he pointed towards the heavens, saying of the sixth perfection, in the skies beyond the blue veil is the home of the saints in Shadaloka, the home of those who have been tried and have labored for that which they are. For unto those who try it is a sure reward, if ye strive with perfect effort. Ye gain not nirvana through meditation alone, there must be works and perfect effort. Therefore, O son, is effort greatly to be desired, and when in doubt as to the labor to perform, strive with perfect effort, and thy reward is sure. Thus spoke the mighty one of the sixth perfection, which is intelligent effort, and then he saith, I will now speak of the seventh perfection, which is of the mind, and is intelligent mindfulness. For in all thy seeking be not thoughtless, lest in being such ye waste or injure. Be ye ever mindful of three things, O son of earth, that thou mayest be perfect in mindfulness. First, be mindful of thy conduct, that it behooves thee well to watch as how thou shalt conduct thyself unto thyself. Second, be mindful of those responsibilities which are thine from the world, forget them not nor neglect them, for they are dharma, and not to be overlooked. Third, be mindful and gentle in the sight of men. It were that ye should also be mindful of the will of God, and the ways of his saints, for although ye be mindful of men, ye shall not succeed if ye forget the will of God. Thus spoke the blessed Lord of the seventh petal as he sat in the heart of the flower. Be mindful also that every labor shall increase thee in the sight of God, for by this is known the seventh perfection, that ye have no longer the power to hurt, the power to injure, nor the desire to excel, but that ye are eternally mindful and considerate of the needs of others. By this shall ye reach the feet of thy Lord and Master, who is ever mindful of you, and thus shall it be known that you understand the seventh intelligence, which is the perfection of mindfulness. Whereupon the Lord of Light spoke once more, saying, There is one more perfection whereof I would speak, namely, the intelligence of contemplation, wherein ye become as one with God through the contemplation of reality. For he who can contemplate within his own soul the wonders of creation, and float over oblivion on the wings of intuition and reason, he hath perfect contemplation, which seeth life and death, and yet is unmoved. Such a one shall himself live and die, and yet be unmoved, whereupon may ye know that he is free from the wheel of birth and death, insomuch as he contemplates them as part of the great lesson, but is not enmeshed in them as mortal man. He that is able to stand beside the universe and contemplate upon its wonders without himself being involved therein, that one is perfect contemplation, for he seeth all things, loveth all things, contemplateth all thing, and one's no part of them, but is one with their source. Thus spoke the great Lord of the eighth perfection, which is intelligent contemplation, saying, Behold, O Son of Man, the gods are perfect in contemplation, and the universe is the fruit of their meditations. Therefore, if ye would be one with the eternal, contemplate also upon that which is, and you will be one with the 12 eternal meditators in the fields of the infinite. For he who seeth in all things a lesson, but in no thing the personality, he is perfect in contemplation. He who seeth in all things a personality, he is perfect in ignorance. All men stand between two things, perfection in ignorance and perfection in knowledge, while the God-man sits in contemplation upon the two. They are not wise, for they are not the fruits of ignorance. They are not ignorant, for the seeds of wisdom have not been planted there. Know that perfection of contemplation is that which sitteth between wisdom and ignorance, and meditateth upon them, but is neither. Whereupon I have finished my discourse upon the 8 intelligences, which are the 8 paths of my wisdom and the petals of my sacred lotus. Know ye therefore, O Chela, that the blessed Lord hath spoken, whereof it is written in the sacred books of the trees, of that which is and ever shall be, because it has never been, for once being it must cease to be. This was my first great experience among worldly scoffers, and it was there that I learned a lesson which I never forgot. In the words of my teacher I say, fear not that your words will not express your hopes and ideals, for he who is carrying the Master's message is never alone. When his own words are failing, the invisible ones gather around and whisper in his ear. If you work and labor in truth and sincerity, never fear, for the teacher is with you. He knows the words you need and whispers them when the moment comes. The night of Brahma. By the end of every cosmic cycle of action there follows a period of rest, and this is the ebb and flow of energy which marks one of the fundamental expressions of the eternal plan. The periods of activity are called the days of Brahma, when the world outpouring itself from the unknown expresses its energized and rejuvenated qualities, and with greater courage, power and speed carries on the work of universal unfoldment because of the periods of rest. At the end of each day of manifestation, the universe, the sun of necessity, is dissolved or swallowed up in cosmic night, which was called by the ancients pralaya. For every action in this world, which implies the expending of energy, there must ensure a period of inaction, during which time nature rebuilds the tissues and revivifies the bodies torn down and scattered by the activities of mental, physical, or spiritual expression. There is no one who can entirely set aside the periods of rest, and while for many years, lives perhaps, a powerfully constituted organism may sustain itself upon comparatively little relaxation, still at some time or other even the gods must pass into cosmic or universal sleep. Death is merely an expression of the return of bodies to sleep. Paul says we die daily, and this is a spiritual truth, for each day we tear down the body cells and life forces which we are forced to expend in our manifestation and growth here. During the periods of cosmic sleep, the universe rebuilds its shattered vehicles, and when they return to life they start with a great impetus similar to the buoyancy we feel when we awaken from peaceful slumber. When we do not feel refreshed from sleep, it is a certainty that the vehicles have not been relaxed, and that through unwise eating or physical derangement the spiritual consciousness has not completely separated itself from its vehicle of expression. The withdrawal of the life from the form constitutes death. The temporary withdrawal without rupturing the connecting links between bodies is called sleep. And this is the period of physical regeneration, for night is illuminated by the moon, the generator of bodies and the ruling principle of those vitalizing forces which rebuild the depleted tissue of vehicles under the direction of the elemental intelligences. Brahma, the incarnated intelligence of the universe, is called the Grand Man, and he is supposed to be endowed with the qualities of man in a grander and more perfect degree. The sleeping and waking, the birth and death, of Brahma, is correlated to the shorter periods of manifestation of man, and the analogy is quite perfect. One of the greatest works that confronts the student is to accurately learn to understand the use and application of the powers of relaxation. The continued overexertion of a body, a brain center, or an organ of consciousness will shorten the length of its life. It is true that all parts of man grow stronger with exercise, but exercise must be balanced by rest, for exercise tears down the walls of resistance and saps the stores of energy used to give expression to a body or organ. Therefore, a certain part of the time we must allow certain centers to rest and recuperate from our unbalanced use of them. The child in school tires of arithmetic in an hour or so, and then you transfer his attention to spelling or geography, bringing into play an entirely different series of sense centers. This results in the relaxation of the tired organ, during which time the mind recuperates from the strain placed upon it and prepares for further active expression. The 43 faculties of the human brain must all be given alternately exercise and rest, the result being a well-balanced consciousness and an adaptable mind. The mental breakdown is the result of the abuse of a single faculty, or trying to make an organ run both night and day, year in and year out, without rest. There are two grand phases of force. One is that expression which pours into the reservoir to supply the needs of expression. The other is that which pours out of the reservoir in active manifestation. Nothing can come out of man that has not already gone in, for he has not yet acquired the miraculous pitcher of the gods. He can go no further than the energy stored in the reservoir. He can be no stronger than the involuted energies which he radiates. Therefore, the involution of power is absolutely necessary to the evolution of form. These two laws are interdependent one upon the other, for man cannot pour into his organism safely energy unless he expends a certain amount in his daily life. If he does not do this, he runs over. On the other hand, the amount within measures his capacity to draw forth. Man convolutes the expressions of this force in his material and spiritual thoughts, actions and desires. All life is an ebb and flow of energies. These energies pour into man from the planes of consciousness to which he has attuned himself through his own works and thoughts. They can produce no higher results than the plane of consciousness from whence they came, and the quality of inflowing energy is limited by the vehicles of attraction which gather it from the cosmos. The problem of the days and nights of Brahma is to man a divine allegory expressing as it does the requirements of his own life. Two forces govern man, solar and lunar. The solar govern the higher man, the lunar, the bodies. Each of these must alternately be given opportunity for self-expression in order that they may carry on their respective duties. So at night, while the body is undisturbed by conscious mental or physical reaction, the reparatory powers of nature take charge of the organism and prepare it to support and express the life within it during the following period of action. In the daytime, the spiritual consciousness is ushered into its vehicle, where its own growth is carried on at the expense of the lower bodies. The result is a divine balance of the periods of recuperation and destruction. Wise and careful seekers after things spiritual have learned to recognize the vital importance of giving their bodies and centers of consciousness the proper amount of exercise and relaxation. All of man's bodies have a great similarity. Our minds and emotions are subject to the same general ailments before which the physical body must bow, and all through nature the law of action and repose is a governing factor. Man in his haste fails to properly consider and study the law of periodicity, consequently he must pay the price in broken health and inefficiency. Those who would be like God and dynamic powers must develop their organism in accordance with his laws, which are the individualized needs of his composite progression. So through the ages the days and nights of Brahma go on. Worlds come in and worlds go out, and in shorter periods of time man passes through similar conditions which to him seem very terrible but which in reality are his greatest blessings. For God does not die when his vehicles are asleep, he is functioning in other worlds in finer and more sensitive bodies, and it is only the exhausted appendage of consciousness that is dropped and its centers allowed to rest, while in higher and finer worlds the consciousness is making further plans for its unfoldment and final union with the form which now it is forced to vampirize in order to exist during the days of Brahma. Copyright 2025 by Manly Hall Official. Thank you for listening. Please consider to subscribe, like, and share to help the channel growth. New videos on a daily basis.